We are living in pretty poopy times, and it's important when times are at their poopiest that we find the humour in the situation. That's why this April Fool's Day, instead of doing my usual jokey video, I reached out to some of my wheelchair friends and asked them to share some stories with you of how they pooped themselves and found the humour in the situation, because it's important when times are poopy that we poop and we laugh.
Hi, I'm Rob Smith. Ben's asked me to record for you a little story about one of our best poop moments as someone with a spinal cord injury. Now, I think the one I'm going to tell you is about an exclusive club that I'm now in, which other members are Paula Radcliffe and maybe some other people. And this is a club for people who have done a poop during London Marathon. I can't remember when it was, but quite a few years ago. I decided to experiment with some of these power bars. So I took a power bar, which is a big carbohydrate bar, before I went on the London Marathon. This is why I'm racing it in my race chair. Although I hadn't done much training beforehand using the power bars, and I probably should have done that. So it got about 3 miles into the race, and I felt some bad rumblings going on in my stomach, and I couldn't prevent it, and I had a big old poop in my race chair during the London Marathon, right at the start. So this puts me in the predicament, what do? If I stop now, I've got a big old log, and I'm talking a big one, in my pants. I've kind of got to transfer somehow from my race chair into some sort of recovery vehicle, which is not going to be a pretty sight anyway, and then I've got to sit in that recovery vehicle and wait until I get reunited with my day chair right back at the race hotel. So it's going to be a long process. I'm thinking to myself, this is a bad situation, probably better just to carry on with the race. So this was not a good race. This was definitely one of my worst ones. I decided to carry on. So it was a bit stinky, you have to admit, and it was all squishing around lots, considering I've got another 23 odd miles to go. So I carry on the race. It starts to rain a bit. That's also a bad one. It stops raining, and then I get to 14 miles. Obviously, it's a 26-mile race, and I get a puncture in my right wheel. So I'm in the same situation. Do I wait at the side of the road to be recovered with a puncture, with a big poo in my pants, or do I just carry on to the finish? So I carried on to the finish. Another 12 miles with a big poo and a puncture. Got to the finish line. I had to sort myself out. It was not a nice thing to do. That's my poo story. Enjoy the others.
Hi everyone. I'd like to tell you about one of my more embarrassing stories for this video. My famous poop story. It happened probably, in about 2007, I believe. My girlfriend at the time and I went to Ottawa for a basketball tournament. First time we've ever flown or went anywhere together, so I was quite nerve-wracking, hoping that the poop thing would not have to happen while I was gone. Well, was I wrong. Made it through the 3-day trip, and then I found, next thing I know, here I am at the airport in Ottawa, getting ready to go onto the airplane, and boom, all of a sudden I get the pain. Next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor in the family washroom at the Ottawa airport, bottom half unclothed, full of crap, trying to clean up, trying to find more clothes. So one of the funniest parts of this story was once I got into the bathroom and got out of my wheelchair and got cleaned up, my girlfriend had to go look for some clothes for me because we already had checked our clothing through security, our bags. There was nothing open at the airport, so she ran through and left me by myself there. So there I am laying on the floor. She's gone, which seems like an hour, but I'm sure it's only a few minutes. And next thing I know, I hear someone knocking on my door. I look up, and there's an old lady coming into the washroom because the door obviously wasn't locked. And there I am laying lower half naked, as well as probably smelling not very good. And finally she was able to come back, and amazingly the airline staff that we were dealing with actually came and helped her get me put back together and get put back on my chair, and took that risk and finished the rest of the flight to home and made it home safely. And it's always been one of my biggest fears of pooping on an airplane, but luckily this time the poop came before I got on the airplane. So happy April Fool's Day, but this is no April Fool's. If you want to hear some more of our crazy adventures, please follow us on Instagram at Accessible Adventures, or watch our weekly vlog on YouTube. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Kylie Grimes, and I thought I'd tell you about a funny story that happened to me before my accident. I was 18 years old, and I was getting ready for a night out with the girls in Guildford, and I decided to wear, like white shorts, as you do. And we were all getting a lift over with my mum. She drove us over there regularly. And on the way over, we were on the dual carriageway. It was about a 15-minute drive. All of a sudden I was like, oh no, something don't feel right. I was like, Mum, you got to turn around. So we drove all the way home, and I'd accidentally done a little fart and followed through all over my white shorts, and I was like, oh no. So I had to jump out. The girls were all pissing themselves laughing in the back. I had to jump out the car, go inside and get changed, and then get ready again for the evening. And I didn't know what to wear, and I was looking around everywhere. I was like, oh no, I've only got white again to wear. So I was like, is it gonna, am I gonna risk doing it again? But it was quite funny. So got changed, got back in the car. Mum got us over to Guildford, and we all had a really good night, to be fair, and I was absolutely fine. But sometimes just wanted to let you know that these funny things happen, and you got to embrace it as a quad, or even before as an able-bodied. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it just happens.
What's up, everyone? Kirk here, coming at you on today's episode of Shit Happens for one of my more interesting stories. As a quadriplegic, we all know that shit happens sometimes. And one of my more interesting and embarrassing moments was early on in my accident when I went to the river with some buddies, and I decided it was a good idea to go tubing behind a boat. So they threw me in an inner tube. Boat took off, and I'm rocking around and bouncing. I'm hitting the water, and all of a sudden I kind of have a little, gooseneck, what's going on? And the, chill bumps, I guess. I'm trying to figure out what's going on and bouncing, and the boat ends up, let me think. I don't know if I let go or something happened where all of a sudden it dawned on me oh, I know what that feeling is. Luckily I was in the tube by myself, but the boat came around to pick me up and said, all right, Kirk, we're going to throw you in. And I was like, keep going, don't pull over now. And so I ended up kind of pulling down my swim trunks and taking care of what had happened. But on the bright side of things, I didn't have to go to the bathroom that day, and cleaned it right out. So who knew the ocean or the lake that I was in could be the quickest way to go to the bathroom. So anyway, hope you enjoyed, and that's it. Hopefully shit doesn't happen too often.
Hi, my name's Lindsay. So I've been asked to share a Code Brown experience, a topic which is close to every spinal injured person's heart. The general population just don't want to talk about it, but in the spinal community it's a hot topic. So I myself have been injured for 13 years, and I use irrigation to empty my bowels, which works pretty well. Like most, in the early days I had a few Code Brown mishaps whilst learning what I could and couldn't eat, along with finding the best routine. This means that I have a good few funny stories. At first, it's upsetting, embarrassing and inconvenient, but you learn to accept it, and you're not the only one that it's happened to. So, a few years ago, I spent some time in hospital after having surgery, and whilst there, I had to do my bowels. This was in the middle of summer, and it was pretty hot. The toilet was an enclosed room with no windows or aircon. It was a sweat box. Me and my partner Richie set everything up, and there I was, pumping the water in and waiting. But alas, nothing happened. Waited, still nothing. Then tried again. Nothing still. And after some time, I had to admit defeat and got off the loo. All the anaesthetic and medication that I'd had turned my poop into concrete. Well, just as Richie went to turn the door handle, I felt this enormous pressure for a couple of seconds, and then I just exploded everywhere. I didn't realise poop could travel so fast and so far. There was only one way to describe the room, a crime scene. Back on the loo I got, and then started a military operation. So the contents of the whole room had to be scrubbed, me and my chair included. We appeared 2 hours later, at which the nurse looked at us both and said, "I'll put the kettle on, shall I?" Hope you enjoyed the story. Happy pooping!
So it's only fair, because my friends have shared their story, that I share mine also. So mine happened on a trip to Bali last year. Now, this was an amazing trip, and we went to this amazing beach resort place where basically there's a huge building where there's lots of restaurants, and in the middle there's a beach club kind of thing where you can lie, you could order food from it, and you overlook the ocean. Amazing place and really posh. Earlier on the evening, I went to the toilet and I realised how difficult it was to get there, because in Bali the access isn't that great. So went to the toilet, realised that people had to come, put a ramp down, which was not a ramp, more like a way to not have stairs. That makes sense. And got down and used the urinal because they didn't have a disabled toilet. Again, this is Bali, they don't do access. So later on that evening, I was like, oh, my tummy's feeling a bit bad. I'd suffered a little bit from Bali belly. For those out there who've done Bali belly, not good. So as the night went on, I felt a bit of rumbling in my tummy, so I was like, I need to go to have a poop. So I went to the toilet again, went to go in the cubicles, realised I couldn't get in because the cubicle was too narrow. So I was like, oh, okay, I've got to get someone quick. Went back out, asked the person who did not speak that much English, and said, do you have another toilet? Like, yeah, there's a toilet just here. I'm like, no, I need a different toilet, I can't get in. She said, there's one at the front. I'm like, okay. Now, to get to the front of this place, it is a long old walk. So going back through the beach club, upstairs, then down this ramp, and then to this bit, and then going about another 200 metres towards the entrance where the toilet was. When we got there, I was like, great, there's a toilet, fantastic. Opened the door, but the door opened inwards. And it opened inwards, so it blocked the toilet. So you'd have to come in, close the door, and then be able to get access to the toilet. However, when I wheeled in, my wheelchair blocked the door, so I couldn't actually access the toilet, apart from a gap about this big. So I had to do something that I'd never done before, which was transfer from my wheelchair through a gap that my hips didn't really fit through onto the toilet seat. I managed to do that, but as I did it, as I transferred, got my hips there, and my hips got stuck. And it got stuck, and I was trying to push myself through, and as I pushed myself through, all hell broke loose, and it went everywhere. And by everywhere, just literally over on my shoes, on my shorts, on my underwear, my t-shirts. Alice with me, poor thing, went on her as well, up the walls, on the toilet, everywhere. And it was not a pleasant smell and not a pleasant experience to be in. Managed to get on the toilet. Luckily in Asia they have bidets, so we just literally washed me completely down, chucked away my underwear, put back on my shorts. I felt great afterwards, I released a lot in that time. And then said to Alice, like, I don't think they're going to want me back here. So we have a little inside joke now. So say, hey, they're not going to want me back. And we went back, and I was like, I'm not going to let it ruin the night. We had a great night. It's one of the last nights of our holiday. So I went back to the group of people we were with and just carried on the night. Nobody suspected a thing. I told them all the next day because I didn't want to ruin their night. So we laugh about that quite a lot now. And because of the place it's called Potato Head Beach Club. We call it the Potato Head Incident. And anytime there's a problem coming down below, we call it I'm having a potato head incident. So yeah, that's my story. So hopefully with these stories, if you're having a poopy time, whether that's figuratively or literally, you can try and find the humour in the situation. If you did like that video, guys, make sure you make sure you subscribe to my channel, and also give that 5 minutes, because oh boy.